wouldn't be one of our moving segments if it wasn't late night.
Late night, moving, in the rain.
Glamorous boating time.
We're leaving a 48-hour mooring because our time is up.
Little damp, that's all. We're going to do a turn at Bromston and then we're going to find the nearest available mooring so we don't have to cruise too long in the rain. How are you feeling, Christine?
Great. Oh, this is a good look for me. Really good.
We got moored up in a perfect new spot just in time to see the blue supermoon on the last day of August.
Blade of grass unturned. What are you doing? Oh, you're eating that tree, madam. Let's go. Okay, you're quite close to the boat in front, so I just reverse back. Gorgeous dog.
This time of year when you can cruise well into the evening wearing short sleeves and the light is golden and the canal is teeming with life, it's just the best. This is what keeps you going through all the seemingly infinite days of rain, the memory of evenings like this.
This is the fun bit coming up. The turns and such, right?
Yeah.
Almost, I think. Clifton. Must be.
Yeah, it's pumping.
Here's some more boat people.
Oh, it's always the dust in the air. It always looks very beautiful and romantic. And you're like, oh, filth.
To combat some of the everyday filth, may I introduce our Roomba. A robot hoover is perhaps not the first thing that comes to mind when you think boating essentials, but it's actually a total must-have for us. It gets dusty really quickly because we have the windows open all the time, and obviously Matilda is a long-haired cat. It really takes the edge off so you don't see tumbleweeds of dust just rolling by all the time. We just have it parked under an armchair when it's not in use. It's really good.
Will they do it again? When you lift your head up, they lift their heads up. So when you pop your head out, they'll go like this. Hello. But if you do it too much, the parents will hiss at you. And they've been nipping each other now. They've been sort of, get off. There, acting out. Probably sick of each other. They're ready to fly the nest.
Big fan.
Outside 27 London North Western Railway service to London Euston.
In the midst of a September heatwave, I got the train to London to meet my mum for lunch and see an exhibition at the Tate. I'm in London a lot for work or to see friends, but it's still really nice to have some free time to just go for a mooch in some of my favourite places. My train came into Euston, but I decided to walk all the way across London and swing by a few shops on the way. First up, Bloomsbury. There are of course many great bookshops around here, but I really like this Oxfam Books for second-hand books. They have a really good mix of classics and current fiction at really reasonable prices. The London Review Bookshop is only a couple of minutes away, so if you're looking for a really well-curated selection of new books, that's also just around the corner. Then I made my way through Covent Garden to London Graphic Centre. This shop is the most devastating combination of art supply and stationery, which is a direct hit to my heart and wallet. As well as art materials, they stock all the really amazing Japanese stationery I like, and I really rate these A5 MD paper notebooks. I think bang for buck, they're maybe the best notebook you can buy. I know that's a bold claim. I managed to escape without doing too much damage, but I've definitely added a few things to my wish list for the future. Onwards. I got a coffee, and at this point I'm basically in central London.
Anyone can explain to me why it's okay for this entire thing to be plastic, but it's the straw that can't be plastic. So the entire drink experience is absolutely demolished because the straw literally disintegrates in your mouth unless you drink it within about 90 seconds. But the rest of it is still plastic. Explain.
Now that I'm in the countryside a lot more and my life is quite calm, I find very populated places quite exciting. I love people watching and you get to see what everyone's wearing. One thing I always notice immediately is that people wear smart shoes a lot more. I would normally avoid the Westminster area right outside Parliament because it's always a bit mental, but now that I don't live in London, I kind of enjoy the chaos, so in we go. I met my mum at Tate Britain and we went to see an exhibition called The Rossettis. It brings together work by Dante Gabriel Rossetti, the poet Christina Rossetti, they were siblings, and Elizabeth Siddal, who was an artist in her own right and also became Dante's wife, so she also became a Rossetti. The artworks and the poetry are kind of interwoven through the exhibition in a really clever way.
dancers, lemons and oranges, plump unpicked cherries, melons and raspberries, bloom down cheap peaches, swart-headed mulberries, wild freeborn cranberries, crab apples, dewberries, pineapples, blackberries, apricots, strawberries, all ripe together in summer weather. Walls that pass by, fair leaves that fly, come by, come by.
It was really interesting. But actually the biggest shocker for me is that Christina Rossetti wrote the words to the Christmas Carol in the bleak midwinter. She wrote it as a poem originally, obviously, but I had absolutely no idea. Reading it back now, it does actually make perfect sense because it's quite dark. I enjoyed the exhibition, and it was cool to see the pre-Raphaelite era paintings brought together with Christina Rossetti's poetry. I did think it was weird that they didn't show Millet's Ophelia, which Elizabeth Siddal was the model for very famously and is owned by the Tate, like it's in the building right now. I get the thinking behind focusing on Siddal as more than a muse to highlight her work in her own right as a self-taught working class artist. You know, she was historically overshadowed by this mythologized position as a muse, but the whole exhibition is stuffed full of paintings of her by Rossetti, so it just seemed like a mad omission to me. Maybe I'm biased because I really like Ophelia. It's one of my favourite paintings of all time. I've been experimenting with some oil paints, which is definitely a highly impractical medium to use on a narrowboat, but it's something I've always wanted to try and never found the time to before, so now is the time. I started just playing around with mixing some colours and basically moving paint around and seeing how it feels. Because it's a new medium for me, I've never used oils before in my life. It feels very unfamiliar, but I really like it. Setting up a proper studio space is definitely next on the agenda.
It's a finest Spanish meat and cheese selection.
How much does that cost you?
It would cost you £5.25. Normally it cost me £1.31.
Useful.
Which is much more like it. End of day reductions haul. We've got a £9.50 reduced to £2.38 at Charlie Bigham's, there's no N. Chicken korma and pilau rice. We've got the Spanish meat and cheese selection, £1.31. Great work. We've got a chicken and ham en croûte tonight's dinner, £2.38, but it was £9.50. A budget busting, as they would say, £9.50. We've got some rocket for 30p. We've got some raspberries, which are 50p, was £2. We've got some mushrooms,
26p, very specific, and some organic mushrooms, 54p. We've got some summer edition finest 2 egg custard tarts that usually cost £2.10 and are now 53. We've got a smoked bacon and cheddar quiche, which is £1.21. And then we've got, for myself, probably for lunch, a Tesco finest pasta, which was £4.25, and we got it for £1.06. I'm really excited about that. So there we go, an excellent haul, I think.
£32 of saving in that shop, I believe.
That's crazy. That is actually crazy. I didn't realise it at the time, but this actually documents one of the last days that this wooden post was standing, because a few days later I saw a hire boat use it as a bollard and pull it clean out of the ground. RIP post.
Okay, so talk us through what's happening here.
So what we have here is a spider. We haven't named him or her. They haven't told us, or they haven't told us what their name is. So the spider is here, and yesterday this spider was quite active in this local area, and we had the hatch open and a daddy longlegs came in, and we tried our best, I will say this, we tried our best to get this daddy longlegs back where it belonged outside, but it wasn't having it. It wanted to flap around, so that's what it did, and it got caught by this spider, this very leggy spider, which looks much like a daddy longlegs. I wonder if their kind of nature has paired them together where they are a symbiotic relationship. So what it's done is it killed it, obviously, and yesterday it killed it and then it sort of dragged it into its upper lair, but today what it's done is it sort of wrapped it up, like gift wrapped it in a actually incredibly detailed way where the legs and the arms are matched up, and it's wrapped it up in its net stuff, what's it called? Web stuff, yes. And now it's just left hanging there as a kind of threat to others, maybe, I don't know, and it's just sitting here looking for its next victim.
I think it's a larder. It's just like we have a fridge on the boat.
You're so right.
He's just storing that
it's
food
preserved
for later.
it for later. Mate, I'm not being funny, but this is not on. We're not going to do this. We can't, like, I'm all for nature and spiders have the right to coexist, but this is just, it's too over the top.
You come onto our boat.
And you start making these weird, it's like Dexter or something. Don't leave trophies. It's odd. Like, just be a bit more like subtle. I think it's, they're just flaunting it, aren't they? They're flaunting their lifestyle. I don't approve of it.
Wow, this pound is really low. I've never seen it this low before. You can see where it normally would be.
The boats moored in the pound weren't even floating anymore. They were basically standing on the silt at the edge of the canal. You could even see the water coming into the lock when we were in it, which is usually hidden underneath the water. Let's see if I can open the gate. This can happen if someone leaves the paddles up and basically drains the lock pound into the one below by accident. We moored up to wait out a couple of days of absolutely foul weather. I think this was the remains of Hurricane Nigel, if I remember correctly. What a name for a hurricane. Wind is the absolute worst weather on the boat, no contest, especially when you're moored under trees. It's so loud, and every time you hear a gust, you're like, oh, I hope a tree doesn't fall on top of us. It's the worst. A couple of days later, I woke up early to a really misty morning, which was beautiful. And then it turned into this gorgeous sunny day, so we cruised on again. I got the opportunity to practice my winding again. That's turning the boat around the full 180 degrees in a section of canal that's made especially wide for that very purpose. This is an unusually wide bit of canal even for a winding hole, so it's kind of easy on me, but it's only my second time, so I'll take the win. Simple. No problem. Straight back out through that dodgy little bridge.
How'd you feel?
That was pretty good. You may remember that at the end of the last vlog, we were planning to go south towards Oxford on the Oxford Canal when we got interrupted by a side quest. Once we were ready to move on, we went back to the drawing board and looked at our schedules, what we each had coming up and where we wanted to be, and decided to change our minds again. So now the plan is to head south on the Grand Union towards London. That means our first task is heading through double locks for the very first time and tackling Braunston Tunnel, all 1,867 metres of it. See you next time. Oh my god! Bro! What? Oh my god. Seriously?